Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're diving into the world of Ponzi schemes. We'll explain what they are, how they work, and the serious consequences they can have. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only. Attempting to run a Ponzi scheme is illegal and can lead to severe legal consequences. If you enjoy learning about financial topics and want to stay informed, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Number 1. What is a Ponzi scheme? A Ponzi scheme is a type of financial scam where the person running the scheme promises high returns or profits to investors. But instead of making real investments, they pay earlier investors using the money from newer investors. It's named after Charles Ponzi, who became famous for using this trick in the early 1900s. Ponzi convinced people to invest in a complex scheme involving international reply coupons, promising them a 50% profit in 45 days. He never actually invested the money but used funds from new investors to pay returns to the old ones. For example, if Alice invested $100, Ponzi would take Bob's $100 investment to pay Alice a profit, making it appear that Alice's investment grew. Number 2. How does it start? Imagine your friend tells you they have a magical investment opportunity that guarantees you double your money in just a few months. It sounds too good to be true, right? That's how a Ponzi scheme usually starts, with a promise of big, fast returns that seem almost magical. These promises are often accompanied by fancy presentations, glossy brochures, and impressive-sounding financial jargon to make the scheme seem legitimate and sophisticated, even though there's no real investment behind it. For instance, a promoter might claim they have access to a secret stock trading algorithm that never fails, enticing people with the allure of cutting-edge technology. Number 3. Recruiting the first investors. The person running the Ponzi scheme, let's call them the promoter, gets their first investors by making these incredible promises. These early investors might see some returns at first because the promoter uses the money from new investors to pay them. This makes it look like the investment is real and profitable. The promoter often targets friends, family, and acquaintances to build trust and credibility. They might even show fake documents or create a fake website to make the scheme appear legitimate. For example, they could produce fake bank statements showing large profits or testimonials from satisfied investors who are actually part of the scheme. Number 4. Growing the scheme. As the first investors start seeing returns, they tell their friends and family about this amazing opportunity. More people get excited and want to invest their money too. The promoter uses the new money coming in to pay the earlier investors, making the scheme look even more successful. This word-of-mouth advertising is crucial for the Ponzi scheme to grow. Sometimes, the promoter will offer bonuses or commissions to those who bring in new investors, further incentivizing the spread of the scheme. For instance, if Jane invests and then brings in 3 friends who also invest, Jane might receive an extra bonus payout. Number 5. The cycle of deception. This cycle continues. New investors' money is used to pay returns to earlier investors. Everyone is happy because they think they're making a lot of money. The scheme keeps growing and more people want to join in thinking they'll get rich quickly. The promoter may keep detailed records of who is owed what to maintain the illusion of legitimacy. However, the entire structure is built on the continuous inflow of new money, which is unsustainable in the long run. For instance, if a promoter has 100 investors each putting in $1,000, they can pay out $50,000 to early investors, but they need more and more new investors to keep the payouts going. Number 6. Average investment amount. On average, people might invest anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s into a Ponzi scheme. The exact amount can vary, but the key is that people are often willing to invest large sums because they believe they will get huge returns. In some cases, people have invested their life savings, retirement funds, or even taken out loans to invest more money, driven by the greed or desperation for the promised high returns. The promoter might set minimum investment amounts to create an air of exclusivity. For example, they might say, the minimum investment is $5,000 to ensure serious investors only, making people think they are joining an elite group. Number 7. Signs of trouble. Problems start to arise when the promoter can't recruit enough new investors to pay returns to the earlier ones. Without new money coming in, the promoter can't keep up with the promised payouts. Investors might start noticing delays or missing payments. The promoter might offer excuses, such as claiming that there are temporary market fluctuations or banking issues. As these delays become more frequent, some investors might start to become suspicious and demand their money back. For example, an investor might be told, "We're experiencing a delay in processing your payout. due to high transaction volumes, which is just a stalling tactic. Number 8. The collapse. Eventually, the scheme collapses when there's not enough new money to pay everyone. This can happen suddenly, and when it does, most investors lose all or most of their money. The promoter might disappear or get caught by the authorities. When the collapse happens, it often leads to a lot of confusion and panic among investors. Some might try to recover their money through legal action, but recovery is often difficult because the funds have been dispersed or hidden by the promoter. For instance, during Bernie Madoff's scheme collapse, thousands of investors lost their life savings and were left in financial ruin. Number 9. Life cycle of a Ponzi scheme. The life cycle of a Ponzi scheme includes the initial setup, rapid growth, trouble signs, and eventual collapse. Some schemes last only a few months, while others can go on for years, depending on how well the promoter can keep the deception going. In the early stages, the scheme can grow very quickly as initial investors are paid and bring in more people. The mid-phase is marked by increasing difficulty in maintaining payouts, and the final phase is the collapse, often accompanied by legal action and public scandal. For example, some smaller Ponzi schemes might last only a few months before collapsing, while Madoff's scheme ran for decades due to his ability to continuously recruit new investors. Number 10. How money is made. Money in a Ponzi scheme is made by taking from one person and giving it to another. There are no real investments or profits being made. The only profit comes from the new money being brought in by new investors, which is why it's not sustainable. This method creates an illusion of profitability, but it's essentially just a money shuffle. No value is created, and once new investments stop, the scheme falls apart because there's no real underlying business or assets generating returns. For example, if an investor is promised a 20% return in 2 months, that return is simply funded by new investors, not by any actual business activities. Number 11. The promoter's role. The promoter is the mastermind behind the scheme. They might create fake documents, websites, or reports to convince people that their investment is real. They're very convincing and often very charming, making it easy for people to trust them. The promoter's role involves constantly finding new investors and managing the flow of money to ensure earlier investors get their returns. They often live lavish lifestyles to appear successful and attract more investors, all while knowing the scheme is bound to fail eventually. For example, a promoter might drive luxury cars and wear expensive clothes to project an image of success, further convincing potential investors of the scheme's legitimacy. Number 12. The impact on investors. Investors in a Ponzi scheme often face significant financial losses. They might lose their savings, retirement funds, or even money they borrowed to invest. The emotional toll can be devastating too, as they realize they've been scammed. The impact isn't just financial. It also affects relationships and trust, as many people feel betrayed by those who introduced them to the scheme. Recovery from such losses can take years, if it happens at all, and the psychological effects can be long-lasting. For instance, some investors may suffer from depression or anxiety as a result of their financial losses and the betrayal they experienced. Number 13. Legal consequences. When a Ponzi scheme is discovered, the promoter can face serious legal consequences, including fines and imprisonment. Authorities work to recover as much money as possible for the victims, but often only a fraction of the lost money is ever recovered. Legal proceedings can take years and involve complex investigations to track down and reclaim funds. Promoters are often charged with fraud, and in some cases they face multiple counts, leading to lengthy prison sentences. For example, Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison after his scheme was uncovered, and efforts to recover funds for his victims are still ongoing. Number 14. Protecting yourself. The best way to protect yourself from a Ponzi scheme is to be skeptical of investments that promise high returns with little or no risk. Do your research, ask questions, and be wary of investments that sound too good to be true. Always remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Verify the credentials of the investment and the promoter. Seek independent financial advice, and ensure the investment is registered with the appropriate regulatory bodies. Educating yourself about common scam tactics can also help you spot red flags. For instance, you might use resources like the SEC's website or financial news outlets to check the legitimacy of an investment opportunity. Segment 15. Famous Ponzi schemes. To give you a better idea of how Ponzi schemes have impacted people over the years, let's look at some of the most famous cases. Bernie Madoff ran one of the largest and most infamous Ponzi schemes in history, defrauding thousands of investors out of billions of dollars. His scheme lasted for decades and attracted celebrities, charities, and regular folks, all of whom trusted him with their life savings. Another well-known case is the scheme run by Charles Ponzi himself, which promised huge returns through arbitrage of international reply coupons. These cases show how widespread and damaging these schemes can be. Other notable schemes include those run by Alan Stanford and Scott Rothstein, both of whom promised high returns and ultimately caused massive financial losses for their investors. Segment 16. Red flags to watch out for. Now let's talk about some red flags that might indicate a Ponzi scheme. First, be cautious of investments that promise high returns with little or no risk. Remember, all investments carry some degree of risk. Second, watch out for overly consistent returns. In real investing, the market goes up and down and returns can vary. Third, be wary of secretive or complex strategies that you don't fully understand. Finally, if you're pressured to invest quickly or not given enough time to think things over, that's a major warning sign. Always take your time and do your research before investing your hard-earned money. Additionally, check if the promoter is registered with financial regulatory authorities, and if they have a history of legal or financial troubles. Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you found this video informative and now have a better understanding of Ponzi schemes. Remember, always be cautious with your investments and stay informed to protect yourself from scams. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more educational content. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.